Hi, welcome to another episode of the Uplift Start the Week, where we discuss subjects relevant to us Jewish women in a respectful and open manner. I am your host, Chani Schreibhand, the founder and editor of the Uplift Jewish Women's Magazine, a periodical that comes in hard copy and online. Today's guest is Erica Pelman, the founder of Shifra, formerly known as In Shifra's Arms, a support network for those who are contemplating a termination of pregnancy. Say hi, Erica, and introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you for inviting me. This is my first time ever being on a podcast, so I'm pretty excited.
Oh, great. It's nice to be the first one who asked you. Erica, could you first of all tell us a little bit about the name? Where Shifra? Why Shifra? Where did it all come from?
Beautiful. So, of course, this week is Parshat Shemot, which tells the story of Shifra, who, along with Puah, who stood up to Pharaoh and protected the Israelite women from Pharaoh's desire to end their babies' lives on the birthing stool. And she was given a choice. Her choice was either you kill these babies or I kill you. And she refused that choice. And she got around it and both protected the mothers and also protected herself by directly lying to the most powerful man on earth at the time. So she's our hero. And Shifra is a unique Jewish support network for women with unplanned pregnancy crises. We work with women all across the United States, but are also capable of taking calls abroad from English-speaking women. And we are the only organization of our kind outside of Israel.
Wow. Okay, so now I understood the name. I actually didn't realize that that's where the name came up. And that was just, you see, it came into the parsha so quickly. Very good. I think it's really important that we first, before we even start the conversation, make something very clear that we are not rabbis in any way or in any shape or in any form. And if this is a touchy subject, and in the American law, it's been really touchy at the moment, but I really feel that we do have to discuss it because it is something that is unfortunately happening in the community, and we need to find out what we could do and what help is available. So explain to me a little bit about the network, the support network that you do. A woman comes to you, she calls you up, and how would she come to you?
Right. Well, so she could come to us because of a friend referred her, or she heard this podcast, or she saw something on the internet. So when a woman comes to us, first of all, when I started this organization, I had a very specific picture about who I thought our clients were going to be. When I was in my 20s, I did not grow up religious. When I was in my 20s, a very close friend of mine who was 23 called me to tell me she was having an abortion. Her boyfriend was very much not good fatherhood material. She felt extremely ashamed. She felt even too ashamed to consider adoption. And so she had an abortion. And when I started the organization, it was out of the thought of, if she had wanted to continue the pregnancy, would there have been Jewish support for her? We know there would have been evangelical Christian support for her, but would there have been Jewish support for her if that had been what she wanted? Okay. And I realized that there wasn't. And so I started this journey of the organization over a decade ago in 2008. What I discovered over the course of nearly 14 years is that that's just one picture why somebody might call us. Somebody might also call us because they're married, they have 3 children, one of them has special needs and they're expecting a 4th and they really weren't prepared for a 4th child. Or they could be calling us sometimes in America, at least people call us, they're an Israeli immigrant, they don't have health insurance, birth is very expensive, they're not sure whether they could get on Medicaid and it would challenge their citizenship process. There could be like a lot of different reasons why pregnancy is a crisis, or it could be upheaval. They planned on becoming pregnant and then the husband lost his job, or the wife lost her job, or they both, or they planned on becoming pregnant and the relationship broke up. And then we also or the relationship broke up, or we hear from so it's a very wide range of people that call us, much wider than I would have ever imagined. And when they call, the first person they speak to, they'll make an appointment usually via text. We have a text line. And the first person they speak to is a licensed clinical social worker. There's no intake process. The first person you talk to is someone who has more than 25 years, 30 years experience as a counselor, who's a professional, who's going to listen to you, validate your concerns, and talk through with you what's going on with you. Why is this pregnancy a crisis? Because something could be unplanned. It's not necessarily a crisis for people, but it can be. And so she's going to talk to someone and she's going to validate them. And then she's going to look at what's going on with them. Are they considering abortion? Maybe they're not considering abortion, but they're just in crisis. And she's going to let them know really assess what are their needs if they were to continue the pregnancy. Again, we're not making halachic dispensations. We're just asking, if you're going to continue this pregnancy, what would you need? And that means emotionally, what would you need? And financially, what would you need? And
to continue it.
To continue the pregnancy, what would you need? And then we make an offer, a very clear offer about how our organization would help. And then, we process that through with people for a couple of sessions, and if they're considering abortion, they're going to make their decision. And then if they can end their pregnancy, we're going to follow up with them. We can talk more about that a little bit later. And then if they continue their pregnancy, we're going to be the counselors available with them through the baby's first birthday to help them through the transition of the entire pregnancy plus the baby's first birthday. They'll have access to our financial aid, material aid, and then they get to join our lifetime of parenting support.
Wow.
And if someone places for adoption, we have another sort of set of support, but that's a little different. We are not an adoption agency. So
you might not be an adoption agency, but if the person doesn't want to have the child, do you offer that? You'll get them in touch with an adoption agent.
Right, exactly. So if you're looking to adopt, it wouldn't be appropriate to call us. But if someone is calling us thinking about placing their baby for adoption, we would connect them with appropriate resources around that.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's really amazing. I really think it's important that we say very clearly here that this is not related to your religious, where you're up to. You don't have to, it doesn't mean if you're very firm, if you're not very firm, it doesn't mean everybody has, I'm sure you've seen people from all walks of life, and we shouldn't think that we're firm, we're great. We don't do these types. It happens in our community. We have young girls who are getting pregnant because they're having, unfortunately, a marital relationship before they're getting married, and they have this problem. So I think it's important that we bring that up and say openly that this is widespread.
Yeah, it happens. It happens in all sorts of contexts. It happens with teenagers, but it happens with women who are 42 and we're not expecting, or thought they were at the end of their childbearing years, and then suddenly are like, I don't know how I can handle this.
Yeah.
It's a wide range of people, right? It's a wide range of people that are fertile, and it's not spread. Fertility is just not one of those things that's spread equally among human beings. Women, some women, I'm in the category of people who really has a hard time getting pregnant. And then I have clients, and they have an IUD, their IUD falls out. It happens.
You think that because of that fact that you had a hard time getting pregnant, that's why it's so important for you, this?
So that's a really great question. So I had actually, I mentioned my friend who was pregnant. That was right before I got engaged, and then I got married, and then I was trying to get pregnant, and I was in my late 20s, so I expected it to be very easy, and it just wasn't happening. It had been already probably 10 months, and 10 or 11 months, and I went into work one morning. And that experience started to have me, you really picked up on something. That experience had me reflect back on my friend's abortion in a different way, right? When I was with her, and I was a fellow 20 something who had never had a baby, I didn't even have friends with babies. And I certainly didn't actually know about infertility or that people would want to adopt her baby. Didn't really occur to me. Okay. Yeah. Right. That was one thing. And then as I started to have this experience of wanting to have one, not being able to have one, not being able to get pregnant. And then one day I used to work at the US Department of Labor, and I walked into work and I actually knew I wanted to leave that job. I was in graduate school, and I walked in and I just said, I was not from, I was a spiritual person. I said, God, what do you want me to work on? There's so many issues in the world. There's clean water, there's democracy in Israel, there's, anti-poverty.
Go on forever,
right.
yeah.
What do you want me to work on? And it just like came to me like a bolt of lightning on Jewish unplanned pregnancy. And I just started brainstorming ideas. What would she have needed? What could we have offered her if I'd had resources at that very traumatic moment of my life? If I had something to offer her and her life too, what would have been? It just came to me. Well, 2 weeks later, I got a positive pregnancy test.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And it really was suddenly my journey with becoming a mother was intertwined with my journey of helping other mothers, which has been helpful, right? Because even though my pregnancy was so wanted and I have support, like it's hard for anyone to become a mother. And so I would like look at stuff that so like every little detail of how we take care of people is like tied into that. I was like, becoming a mother for the first time as I was developing the services. So it's like, we send people like one of those special carriers, because it, not just because it's to give a gift, because it helps with the bonding. And if you're a mother with like a third child, you can't have hands free, so it's like, whatever it is, it's all tied in.
Yes,
Sleep training, whatever little things we do, it's tied in because we are all mothers that are providing it.
So, wow. Let me ask you something else. Our audience, I always say, is over 30, 35 and above. And there's a lot of grandmothers, I would say, in my audience. What would we be able to do from our point of view to help a mother who's going through something like this? What could we do? Because we're not going to be having, I mean, at my age anyways, I'm finished with all that. So, you know what I mean? What's the next? How do I help?
That's such a good question. I think if someone were to come to you, my advice to anybody, if someone's coming to you and you're the first responder, right? Obviously, we want you to refer to us if there's anything we can do to help you. The first responder. The first thing I think you need to separate out first is just to validate people. It is okay to not want to be pregnant. It's okay to hate being pregnant. That doesn't mean you have to have an abortion. It doesn't mean you'll hate the baby. You could hate being pregnant. You could not want to be pregnant, and that you can validate that. You can, and you may not want to have another baby. That's also valid, but it's just like, we can start with the validation of that. It makes sense. However you're feeling right now, it makes sense. And then I would say, you want to look at like, what's the underlying fear that they're dealing with? Are they afraid they can't handle it? Is it that they don't have enough money? What's the fear? Because there's always like a deep fear.
A lot of fear about just having a child. Will I be able to bond with the child? Will I? Yeah,
that's a major issue. That's a major issue. And that's one of the things actually specifically that not moving a little bit from how you advise someone, but something specifically my counselors work on with our clients is bonding. That's one of their main objectives. Is someone's decided to continue a pregnancy that they didn't want. Well, can you talk through those negative feelings and release them? And my observation is that you are stuck with feelings that you don't talk about. Yeah, if you pretend like I'm so good and I don't have this feeling, you're stuck with that. But when you can be honest and say, I don't like this, I hate this, right? You don't have to be stuck with that feeling forever. You can let it go, but you got to first be able to own it and say it. And,
this is my feeling. Yeah. 100%.
I'm my feeling right now. Sometimes as a parent, sometimes I'm just really angry with my kids. I adore them, but sometimes I am really angry. And if I pretend like I'm not angry when I'm angry, it doesn't go well. When I can be honest and say, I'm really angry right now. This really doesn't work for me. And then I can have an opportunity to release it. And it's no different with unplanned pregnancy, and disconnection. But in terms of the first line of support, I would say validate people. And then I would say, look and see what's the underlying fear, and the thing is we can't answer fear with certainty. People want certainty. Can I know for sure how things are going to work out? No, but we can have confidence in ourselves and our ability to adapt to what we need to adapt to and do whatever our children need us, become who our children need us to be. Yeah. And we don't need to be perfect because nobody got perfect parents and nobody needs perfect parents.
I think if we realize that we do not have to be perfect, we'd be much, much, much happier as parents. I think that is the biggest problem is that we think we have to be perfect. And I
Yeah.
think that that just comes with age, that you realize that your kids did well when you weren't perfect either. And if they love you or they hate you or they're upset with you, it doesn't make a difference what you would have done. They would have anyways been upset, hurt, whatever.
I so appreciate you saying that. I so appreciate you saying that. I have my first teenager right
Oh
now.
no, what age? What age are we talking?
He's 14, and boy, does he
Oh
not
no, that's the
in the
real
morning.
start of it. A boy.
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't like it. And that's, by the way, our counselors are all grandmas. I wouldn't hire someone as a counselor who's not a grandma. It's ageism, I know, but I feel like there's
I think that we are able to explain that you're fearing things that it's not worth it, because you can't change the dynamics of a home. I always say this. I feel very, very strongly. A home is made up of so many different personalities and so many different, things around it. And you could try to change it, but there's certain personalities that are ingrained in a person.
right.
And
The
you
kids are
can't,
not a blank slate. They're not a blank slate, which is amazing, because that means that they have some abilities that you don't have to give to them. They come with the package.
they come
Right?
as they do. They really do. And I think that, you should, my mother's not here anymore. And I also had things that I would love to, we were upset that we had a little ripple one day, the next day we were talking fine, but this is all normal. And this is, we don't have to sit and be cuddling each other all day. It just doesn't make sense. It's not real reality. Reality is that children come with problems, and it's our job as parents just to bring them through it to the next stage. That's the reality of it.
And we don't have to do it perfectly. We don't
No.
have to do it perfectly. And I think what's interesting is, you can imagine why the people who call me, call because, they don't have money to afford diapers, right?
Yeah.
Or they don't, and we'll get them diapers for a year, or they, whatever. But it's really challenging when the real reason they're calling is because it's not perfect, and they think they should be perfect. But I have this one client who called us a couple of years ago, and she'd had 3 kids from woman. She really didn't want a 4th. She had just lost a bunch of weight. She got pregnant. She had a supportive family even, but she was devastated. She didn't want it. It was kind of messing up her perfect life as she saw it. But she decided to go through the pregnancy. And what she would tell you now is she is a better version of herself when she gave up that picture of how it should be and embraced what was, right?
Yeah.
And it's the biggest gift. These pregnancies can be like the biggest gift. It's just not necessarily wrapped how you like it.
Let me tell you, let's just there are times that we cannot, there are going to be times that abortion has to take place for other reasons. What do you do when somebody comes to you and you know that this is going to happen? How do you recommend they do?
So the thing is for us, okay, so we don't deal with like anything. If it's a medical issue, well, that's what it is. I've had a couple of people come to me. I'm going to talk about it. People who have a heter for abortion and people who have actually had abortions, okay? I've had people come to us who have a heter for an abortion, okay? From a halachic perspective, their rabbi says, they can have an abortion. Now, these are not people who have to have an abortion because they're going to die. They're just under extreme duress.
Yeah.
But they call us because in their heart, they don't feel good about it. They feel conflicted. They feel like this is going to be a loss, but they are absolutely at their limit. One was leaving an abusive relationship. Another one had hyperemesis. I pronounced it incorrectly, but like beyond gravidarum, like super severe, right? And so when we looked at them, what would you need? And we offered them support. Even though they had the heter, they ultimately chose to continue the pregnancy when they got support. So so that's one case. So I want people to know, you don't have to give up hope even when things are really hard. Definitely call and definitely look at how can we work it out. Even if you feel like you're going to feel a sense of loss from the abortion, it is better to do everything ahead of time, because you can work through the loss of an abortion, but you can't take it away.
No.
Okay. If that's what people feel. Not everybody feels that way. I'm not saying everybody does. They don't. But if someone's going to feel that way, they really need to look at every option. I think a little bit they might feel that way. They should look at every option ahead of time, because people don't look at their baby and say, I wish you weren't here. They don't. If they're getting what they need, which is what we specialize in. But in the case that somebody does continue their terminate, they're going to continue to talk with their counselor and the counselor's going to be there for them afterwards.
Okay, that's what I
Direct them to
wanted
other
to
resources. Yeah. Yeah. They're going to continue.
Counselor's still there.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we've been told to, I mean, you know, that's totally approved by every rabbi we've ever talked to. It's
Yeah.
important. Very, very essential that people know we're there for them no matter what.
Yeah, it's important that, I mean, there are times that this happens. We're very lucky in Yiddishkeit. Yiddishkeit is made that we have halachas that are pertaining to this termination. So we're very, you know, we're given instructions of how to do it, and we have a rabbi, and that's what it's all about. And I think it's important that you have that facility to continue giving this woman, you know, a backup or something. So
and sometimes the reason why she's having an abortion is because like of another major issue. Like a lot of times it's happened in the case of an abuse. And so then our work would be to like connect her with the abuse agencies, you know, that she needs to be connected with, or something else. You know, if there's another resource that she needs to be referred to, or so that we'll do that.
Okay, that's really good. So let me just ask you, you know, we're coming towards the end of it because we usually do it around 30 minutes. So I just want to ask you, as we come towards the end, what do you feel that you want to, you know, what's your main message that you want to get across? Because I think that is so important that you get that chance to say it here.
Okay, great. Well, so I guess I have two messages. One is if anybody listening knows anybody who needs help, please ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask. You can go to our website.
Details underneath, by the way.
Oh, great. So you can go to our website, jewishpregnancyhelp.org. There's also our text number. You can text right away. We get back within hours to make a time with the counselor to speak, usually same day, unless it's really, really late. So first thing is you can ask for help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, there's these situations, it's always better to ask for help. And then second, you can give help. So we're this week in honor of Parshat Shemot, and Shifra, we are launching a Shifra Friend campaign. So if you go to jewishpregnancyhelp.org/Shifra, SHIFRA, friend, you can sign up to be a friend. You can sign up to help, like share our, you know, if you're part of a women's WhatsApp group, share a little post so people know that we exist. Or if you're, you know, put up a poster at your synagogue or your kosher store, you know, help us to spread the word. We're trying, you know, it's organic how people find out about us. And, you know, when people find out about us and we are able to give them life, often our moms say, you saved my life, not you saved my baby's life, you saved my life.
Yeah.
Because I got more choices and I got to make a choice that I feel good about. And then, so that's my two messages. If you need help, ask for it. And if you want to help, come to, you know, become a friend.
Help. We're here. We need help. You know, so it's hard, you know, when you do these type of things, you sometimes put in, not everybody wants to talk about, you know, pregnancy and termination. It's like, you know, we don't want to go there. And it's really important that we do go there, because this is a message that really needs to get out, because there are unfortunately, like we said in the beginning, there's a lot going on in the communities that we need to deal with this. So, you know, Erica, did I say your name in the beginning?
Yes, you did.
Okay. Yeah, likely not to do that. All right. Erica Pelman, I just want to really thank you so much for coming, because I really found you very, very interesting. And I'm really glad we connected.
Me too.
And I hope that anyone out there who had to hear this message heard it, and hopefully will, you know, reach out to you. You're there for them. And I just wanted to make sure, again, you speak to people from anywhere, right?
No, we are not. We have women who are mothers of 7 from women. We have women with full body tattoos, like, you know, Jewish women.
And from any country also?
So we focus on English speaking countries at the moment.
Okay.
So, but United States, anything outside of Israel, English speaking, we could definitely help easily. But if you're not English speaking, you know, still try, and we would try to do whatever we could.
Okay. Okay, very good. So that's really good to know. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I can't wait to see you all again next week when we have another episode of the Uplift Start the Week. And thank you so much again, Erica. And we'll be in touch.